Good morning, lady bosses. Donna Manley coming to you from Southeast Pennsylvania. This is fun. I feel like I'm a newscaster. I don't think I ever wanted to be that, but it's kind of fun. Anyway, we're here. Give it a minute. Wait till a couple of you jump on and then we'll get started. Well, one's here already. So, good morning. I gotta swipe over so I can see who's jumping in. Okay, I guess I'm there. Okay, we got 3 people here. Okay, we're just gonna wait. Actually, we're right at 10:01, so let's get started. So our topic today is how to get into action. I will tell you why I think that's really, really important. By now, listen, we don't know everything. Obviously, we don't know everything. I love the saying that says, if you're the smartest person in the room, find another room. Okay. We always want to be learning. We always want to be growing. So you definitely don't know everything, but let me tell you something. Whatever your goals are, you probably know most of what you need to know to accomplish those goals, right? Think about it. You have heard a million different topics and seminars and workshops on like getting organized and having structure in your life. And listen, a lot of you hear that and you get motivated. So you run out and you buy a fabulous planner where you can write down your goals, write down your to-do list, write down your appointments. And then you go even farther and you get the fancy colored markers and you're all excited with this planner to get started and do it. And you play with the planner, you have a good time for a few days. And then guess what? It just sits there. And then what happens is January comes again and you get all motivated to do it again. And you buy the planner and you buy the markers because the ones from last year are dried up and it sits there. You don't do it. You know what to do, but you can't make yourself do it. We all are guilty of that. We have so many things we want to accomplish, and it's not that we don't know what to do. We hear things over and over and over, and we just can't seem to implement them. Listen, if you have a side hustle or a main hustle where you know that like social media could really, really grow your business, really get you to your goals, social media alone. So you start studying social media strategies. And listen, some of these social media strategies, because we used to do them, can take as little as 15 minutes a day, but you don't do it. Why don't you do it? Another thing, you want to get healthy. It's like, okay, I want to get healthy. So I'm going to sit on Saturday and I'm going to make a complete plan for my menus for the week. And then you never get off your butt and go shopping and get the food, or you do go get the food, but then Sunday or Monday come around and you never spend the time that you need to spend getting things prepped so that you're ready for the week. And 5 days later, you're throwing out all that produce. So it's a problem we all experience. My experience with it, I remember when I first left corporate America and I was sitting home and I was working out of my house. And I can remember my morning routine was go get my cup of coffee, walk into the living room and sit down and turn on TV and watch Good Morning America. And my purest intention was, I'm just going to watch TV until I finish my coffee and then I'll go to work. And next thing I knew, it was 4 o'clock and it was time to get dressed and go start getting dinner ready. So this happens to all of us. And number 1 is figuring out why, but then number 2 is helping you learn what to do about it. Now listen, I'm going to give you tools, because I want you to work smarter, not harder. That's the best way to get through life, right? And you'll accomplish so much if you just work smarter and not harder. I'm not saying hello to anybody, but good morning, ladies. I see you all jumping on. I'm happy you're here. It would be like me driving past your house, and there you are in your yard on your hands and knees, cutting your grass with a pair of scissors, right? So the next week I come by and I bring you a lawnmower and say, oh my God, you will get done in a fraction of the time and it's going to look a heck of a lot better and you're not going to be killing your knees. Come on. And I come by a week after that and there you are on your hands and knees. The mower's in the garage. It's gassed up, ready to go. And there you are cutting your grass with a pair of scissors. So listen, ladies, I can give you all the tools in the world. And believe me, you already have all the tools you need to accomplish what you want. But you have to use them. If you don't pick up the tools and use them, nothing's going to change. Nothing changes, right? Okay, so let's talk about it. So why does this happen? Why is it that we have everything we need, but we don't ever use it and get into action? In my opinion, and again, the disclaimer is everything said here today is simply my opinion. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's just my opinion. I've lived long enough to learn a few things. So I don't know, maybe one thing I say will strike a chord with one of you, and that would make it all worth it. But the first reason I can think of is that your reason, your why, is not big enough. And we've all heard about that a million times. And listen, you know that if the why is big enough, you'll do anything. If, for instance, I said, see this baseball bat? Come outside with me. Now, I'm going to take this baseball bat and I'm going to smash every window of your car unless you pick up your phone right now and call 3 clients. Are you going to call 3 clients? Yeah, of course you are. That's a no-brainer. Of course you will. Or if I say, listen, you just told me what your goals are for the year for your business. If you reach those goals by December 31st, I'm going to write you a check for $1 million. And guess what? If you had to stand on a street corner dressed up like a sandwich to get people's attention and talk to strangers all day long, would you do it? Hell yes, you would do it. I'm writing you a check for $1 million at the end of the year if you reach your goals. So are you going to do it? Yeah. Number 1, you're going to reach your goals. That's going to be a big enough prize. But number 2, you're getting an extra $1 million. So that is just to prove to you that if your why is big enough, you will do whatever it takes to reach your goals. Okay? So why isn't your why that big? And my thinking is that your why is not that big because you haven't gone deep enough. Because listen, our reasons for growing our business or getting healthy or having a more balanced life, they're not as blatant as, somebody with a baseball bat who's going to smash in your car windows or somebody who's going to write you a check for $1 million. The reasons go way deeper, and you just have to go deep enough to find a reason big enough to want to accomplish your goals. So that's number 1. You have to go there. Number 2, and this is really big, whatever you need to do to move forward is going to involve some change. Your brain is actively working against you every single time you attempt to make any kind of change in your life. And this is scientifically proven. And the reason that happens is because your brain is going into this very protective mode. If you're doing the same thing every day, all day long, then your brain's just relaxed and everything's good because, hey, you've been doing this for a long time and it hasn't hurt you yet, so this must be safe. But if you're starting to do something new, your brain doesn't know if it's good or bad. It just knows that there's a change happening, and that might not be good. I mean, that change might be happening because you're getting stressed and suddenly you're swerving all over the road because you have to avoid hitting a deer. Your brain doesn't know why you're making a change. It just knows that you're making a change, and possibly there's danger in that change. So your brain wants to do everything it can to talk you out of doing anything different. That's why when you grab the cup of coffee, that magnetic pull of the sofa and the remote is so strong because your brain knows that's safe. So it's just going to suck you into just doing what you always do. So the answer, in a nutshell, the biggest part of this answer is Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. Now listen, if you want to read the book, awesome. But if you don't have time to read the book, you don't need to read the book. If you have 20 minutes, I've got a link for her TED Talk that's going to be in this group tomorrow. Listen to it because it's life-changing. It's totally life-changing. For her, it was literally life-changing and it saved her life. I don't remember if she talks about it in the TED Talk or if it was in the book, but her life was totally falling apart. I mean, she was, because everything was falling apart, she was sinking into alcoholism. She could not get out of bed in the morning. She would hit the snooze a dozen times, and by the time she finally dragged out of bed, the kids had already missed their buses. She was already too late to do the things she wanted to do. She was just in a big downward spiral. And she knew something had to change, but she didn't know what. So the idea came to her one day when she was watching a space launch. And she watched the launch, and when she watched the countdown, it suddenly came to her that this is what we need to do. We need to launch ourselves into action. You can't just gradually move into action. You have to launch yourself the way a spaceship is launched. And couple reasons, and literally, you literally have to do the countdown. You have to do, this is why it's called the 5-second rule. As soon as a thought comes into your brain of something you need to do, you have to immediately start counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And by the time you hit 1, you have launched yourself into action. Now, I'll explain how that works in a minute. But basically, think about what you're doing. If you're counting down, if you're counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, your brain can't be having a second conversation at the same time. Because if you're not doing that, your brain is engaging you in a conversation, trying to discourage you from moving forward or to making that change. Your brain is doing everything it can to pull you into the normal things you do. You're sitting on the sofa watching TV all day long. So you have to interrupt that. So the whole theme of her book and her TED Talk is interrupt and launch. So if you interrupt the language, then you're never having that disagreement, you're never having that discussion, and then you just launch yourself into action. So you've gotten yourself right to doing what you want to do without ever even having that struggle, back and forth. So, big picture steps, and then I'll tell you how this works. The first step is obviously you have to set your goals. You have to know what it is you're striving for. And then after you set your goals, you have to put an action plan into place, okay? Realistic action plan. Be prepared. If you know it's like exercise and you need to exercise first thing in the morning, then you need to not hit that snooze button, jump right out of bed, but have your exercise clothing ready right in front of you so you don't even have to think. You just get up and you put it on. Okay, so you have to have a plan in place. Action steps that are going to support the goals you want. Okay, so set the goal, put some good action steps into place, and then when you get tempted or distracted, when you look at that alarm clock and you want to hit the snooze so bad, or you're walking past the TV with your cup of coffee, when you want to do that, there are 3 different tools I can give you. And the first tool is something that my fellow health coaches will recognize because it's way older than us, but it's the idea of stop, challenge, and choose. And it means just as soon as that sofa starts calling you, stop for a minute. You have a different kind of discussion with yourself. Like, listen, what are my goals? Is sitting on this sofa, even for an hour watching TV, going to support the thing I want the most, which is to get into my office and make X number of phone calls today, or get into the kitchen and start prepping my food for the week and getting my meals ready? Ask yourself that question and then choose the thing that supports the goals you want to reach, right? But here's the thing, and I think Mel said this in her book. She said, motivation will fail you when willpower runs out. So stop, challenge, choose is great. But when you get to the step of choosing, you still have to have the willpower to make the right choice. In your head, you know what the right choice is, but you still have to have the willpower to make that choice. And I didn't know this until I did a whole lot of research on it, but willpower is not limitless. You can start the day with X amount of willpower, but at any point during the day, that willpower could be gone. And you just don't have the willpower to push through anymore. So you have to have something bigger than willpower. You have to have the motivation, which is the why. Okay, so that's really important. The willpower by itself is never enough because it's never going to get you there. So the second thing is the 5-second rule. If that doesn't work, if your willpower's run out, okay, then go to part 2. Go to the 5-second rule. The 5-second rule will work every time. And this is how it works. You get the coffee. You're walking through the living room. For me, at that time, I had to walk through my living room to my office. So as I'm walking through the living room, I'm feeling the magnetic pull of the sofa and the remote, but I start 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't even have time to think because I'm counting. I can't count and think about turning TV on at the same time. I'm counting, but I'm launching myself into action. I am launching myself into the office to go sit down and get to work. And listen, if you want to sit down for an hour and have your coffee, that's fine, but set an alarm for an hour. And when that alarm goes off, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you launch yourself off the sofa into action, go get to work. So it really works. Another way I used to use it, and it really worked, I would exercise at home like 2-3 times a week. I would do Tae Bo for half an hour. And it was on my calendar, 3 days a week, Tae Bo today, Tae Bo today. So I would see that on my calendar, and always the brain started and started saying things like, well, why don't you just get one more thing done? Get these 2 more things done, and then you can do it, because then you'll be farther ahead. Well, those 2 things would turn into 3, and those 3 things would turn into 4, and it would be 5 o'clock, and no, I would not ever get to Tae Bo. So the second I saw it on my calendar, I don't even care if I was in the middle of something, I immediately started counting down. And while I counted down, I stood up, started to pull my laptop over, started to load the program, grabbed my weights. By the time I got to 1, I was ready to start exercising. So it really works. And I've shared this with so many people, and I know other people, so many people who've used it. It truly works, but you have to interrupt and launch. Interrupt the brain process with a countdown, and then launch yourself into action. Do not give yourself time to think about it. And finally, very important, you have to have a go-to, because, and what that means is, if you're going to launch yourself to something, you have to know what you're launching to. So I knew, like with the Tae Bo, launching myself into action, my go-to was that I had to have the laptop ready, the program loaded, my weights in place, and then I was ready. If you're trying to eat healthy and you walk to the cabinet and, oh my gosh, somebody bought Swiss rolls last night, and Swiss rolls are your favorite thing in the world. And now you've got to launch yourself into action. So you launch yourself, but what are you launching to? Maybe you can have something already in the fridge that you want to snack on that's a healthy snack. Maybe you love sliced red peppers. And it's like, okay, so you just launch yourself to the refrigerator and you grab the other thing. So you have to know where you're headed. Again, this is about knowing your goals and having your action steps in place so that when you launch yourself, you know what you're launching into. If it's launching from the TV to your office, you're launching right into sitting down and getting started on your phone calls or whatever it is you have to do that day that's going to help you reach your goals. Okay? So that's it in a nutshell. But ladies, remember, all these tools are worth nothing if you don't use them. If you're going to cut your yard with a pair of scissors, I can't help you. But if you have a mower in the garage and you're not using it, then that's what you're choosing. So what you're not changing, you're choosing. Remember that. You can make a different choice every day. So decide what you want, decide what the change is going to be, and put this in place. It really, really, truly does work. I've heard that from a million people, and I know from my life, it really works. So if you want to get into action, you want to take all the wonderful things you know and finally start implementing them, this is how to do it. So I saw some of you ladies came in late. Happy you're here today. Hope you'll go back and watch from the beginning, but it was great to spend Tuesday morning with you. So have a great day, have a great week, and we'll see you here same time, same place next week. Bye, ladies.